That night, March 3rd, 1944, the sky over the small town of Balvano, Italy, was covered in thick fog. In the darkness, steam train 8017 departed, carrying a load far beyond its limit. The passengers, mostly desperate due to the hardships of World War II, crowded inside freight cars meant only for cargo. They were not official passengers, they were stowaways, hoping to ride unnoticed to Naples in search of a better life. But the train never reached its destination. During the journey, the train entered the army tunnel, a stone passage over 2 kilometers long, cutting through the hills outside Balvano. The steam engine, burning low-quality coal, started releasing massive amounts of carbon monoxide. There was no ventilation, no wind to clear the deadly gas. By morning, almost everyone inside the train was found dead. But the story didn't end there. Since that night, the spirits of the victims have been said to haunt the army tunnel, tormenting anyone who dares to enter. At dawn, locals were puzzled as to why steam train 8017 had not emerged from the tunnel. It was supposed to have reached the next station by midnight. A rescue team was sent in. Carrying torches, they cautiously walked into the dark passage. The atmosphere inside was eerily silent, yet heavy with an unshakable presence. Then, a foul stench filled the air. As the light illuminated the train cars, a horrifying sight was revealed. Hundreds of passengers lay lifeless on the floor, some still in their seats, as if asleep. Their eyes were vacant, their skin bluish pale. Some had clung to each other, perhaps in a desperate attempt to survive. Among the bodies, some faces appeared frozen in agony, as if they had realized death was coming but could do nothing to stop it. As the rescue workers began to move the bodies, they suddenly heard something, a faint whisper. "Help." They froze. It was impossible for anyone to have survived. Yet, the whisper returned, faint, as if coming from the very walls of the tunnel. After the disaster, the army tunnel was sealed off. However, the railway line remained operational for other trains. The railway guards often had to inspect the tracks near the tunnel. But none of them could work there without experiencing something strange. A guard named Giovanni Russo once recounted, "One night, I stood at the tunnel entrance to check for fallen rocks on the track. As I lit my lantern, I saw a shadow move inside. I thought it was someone lost, so I walked closer. But the nearer I got, the stronger my unease became. I felt something cold crawling up my skin. Then I saw it, a man in ragged clothes, his face bluish, eyes hollow. He just stood there, staring at me without making a sound. I couldn't move. I wanted to scream, but my body was frozen. Then, in an instant, he disappeared." Giovanni was not the only one. Many guards reported hearing footsteps on the tracks when no one was there. Others saw a faint light floating like a lantern, but when they approached, there was nothing. In 1978, a group of German tourists visited Balvano and dared themselves to enter the army tunnel. There were 5 of them: Marcus, Helga, Stefan, Claudia, and Thomas. They brought cameras and flashlights, determined to prove whether the ghost stories were real. At first, everything looked normal, just old stone walls and rusty tracks. Nothing unusual. But then, the air suddenly changed. Helga whispered, "Why is it getting colder?" They continued deeper into the tunnel, when suddenly, Claudia screamed, "There's someone ahead." Their flashlights shone toward a figure in the distance. Someone was standing on the tracks. He appeared hazy, like mist, but slowly his face became clear, pale, bluish. Then he started walking toward them. Panicked, they ran out of the tunnel, but when they turned back, there was nothing there. However, one thing sent shivers down their spines. The figure was clearly captured in their camera. In 1992, a train engineer named Luca Moretti experienced something he would never forget. That night, he was driving a freight train along the tracks that once carried train 8017. Everything was fine and he approached the army tunnel. As he entered the tunnel, the cabin lights flickered. Then, a shadow appeared on the windshield. I saw someone standing on the tracks. I hit the emergency brakes, but the train kept moving. Just as I was about to hit him, he vanished into thin air. But what terrified Luca even more when he glanced at the side window, he saw his freight cars filled with pale faces, hollow eyes staring directly at him. He screamed, shutting his eyes. When he opened them again, everything was back to normal. Today, the army tunnel remains abandoned. No one dares to enter except for those foolish enough to test their courage. But one thing is certain. Every night, in the darkness of the tunnel, voices can still be heard. Whispers, cries, and faint footsteps. Are they merely echoes of the past? Or are the souls of the victims still trapped, unable to find their way home? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear: whoever enters the tunnel may never leave the same again. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow other horror stories.